Well, on to the next topic. We're talking Alfred from Batman. Does he get paid? Fair question.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, we might bring up some things from The Dark Knight Rises. Hopefully, that's the new movie. Hopefully it won't give away too much, if really anything, to you guys. But just spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it yet, first of all, go see it, and second of all, just beware that we might spoil some things for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna say he's not paid because in The Dark Knight Rises, he goes broke and his electricity goes off, which Dane thinks that's for dramatic effect, but
It was
but Alfred is still there,
right.
and if he can't pay his electricity bill, how can he pay Alfred?
Right.
I think Alfred's become more of a family member than a.
Well,
I
and
think
that's kind of
paid
what I was
butler.
thinking too.
I think if they don't pay him, they at least give him clothes and he stays
was
there.
He was probably paid back in the day when Bruce Wayne had money and parents.
But back when the parents died, I think he just became like a father or uncle or.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like because him and Thomas Wayne, Bruce's dad, were like really close. I mean, in about every incarnation, he dies. Alfred, no question, takes this child and raises him. Basically, it's like if I was getting paid to be someone's servant butler guy, I'd be like, well, that's unfortunate, and but he was like he was like a friend to him,
Yeah, but even if
He's
you're
not
a
working
friend,
for nothing, but I don't think he's really getting paid, in the end, per se.
I don't know.
At
Why
least
would you
he's
work
not
for
getting a
nothing,
paycheck every week.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
think. But he gets paid in food, like the food they have around the
He
house.
gets to stay there.
Does he live there?
I think he
I think
lives
he
there.
stays
Oh yeah,
It's pretty big enough. There'd be maybe a separate part of that house for him. I don't know.
Well,
I mean, you just have
yeah.
Bruce Wayne living in a giant mansion. There's more than enough space.
Well,
for
and what about a guest
20
house?
Alfreds.
I mean,
He
if
probably could at least stay in a guest
like
house.
if he has a little backyard deal going on where he's got his own little
Stay in the Batcave.
Well, and that's the other thing I was gonna say is
Home away from
Bruce.
home.
Bruce is out all night. If I was getting paid to clean a house and make some guy food, and he wanted to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna put on a mask and beat people up for a living," I'd be like, "Police!" But he was his friend, so he's like, "Let's do it."
I don't think he cleaned the house. They probably had.
No, they had butlers, didn't they?
Well, I'm saying, do you think
They had maids that cleaned
They
the
had
house
maids,
in the,
not
in the
Alfred.
comics, didn't they?
I don't think the butler would clean the house.
Or Anne Hathaway's character.
Especially,
Well, what exactly does
Yeah, yeah.
the butler do?
you just make sure he gets his stuff on time.
Yeah, you're kind of like
Give him food. Drive,
so-
him, drive him around.
right. Like
Yeah.
Well,
you
Alfred-
assist
yeah.
where needed.
Open the door.
Wake
the
him
door.
up.
Oh,
You do okay. It's not like the dirty work, but it's like the work that people don't want to do.
The rich
like,
people don't want to do this.
Right. So
Like,
answering the door, that's not dirty work.
But
or
he would do that
common
for you.
work.
well,
But
right. But Bruce is in the Batcave, so he's like,
He's really
"Go
into
buy
it.
some Girl Scout cookies." I'm tracking a guy who dresses like a clown.
I need some groceries.
Yeah. Buy me a head of lettuce.
does Alfred do the grocery shopping?
What?
What else would?
All you have him doing in your mind right now is answering the door. I would get bored, Jesse. I would get so freaking bored.
What accent is that?
I'm not really sure. It's
So
sort of
does
a,
he not leave the house either?
Oh, I think
He leaves to get stuff.
Oh,
he
The
answers
mail.
the phone. He answers the door. I don't think he goes and gets groceries because he never seems to leave the house.
But yeah, I understand it. But okay, he probably doesn't mow the lawn. They probably have gardeners to do that.
They never
Probably.
show any of those people.
For
Not important.
the
I feel like
cleaning. we've
grass
already
doesn't grow
established-
in Gotham,
Yeah, there's
so they don't need
so
to
much
mow their
pollution.
There's
lawns.
certain things that are not in
I mean,
Gotham, like
and-
UPS drivers. They're
Yeah,
not in Gotham.
they're not. They
And
don't
have you
belong
seen the cartoons where the sky is red constantly and all the buildings are dark? It's like that city has to be so polluted that it's just like the grass is like Bruce probably astroturfed his entire the
Yeah,
football
just make it
stadium
look-
stuff.
yeah.
Just like
Well, he did.
understand
He had
that.
somebody do it.
Alfred did.
right.
it.
Alfred did.
It's another thing the butler does.
Yeah.
All right, well, on to our last topic of the day, which is kids misbehaving in public.
Or parents who bring them to public places.
Right, when parents bring their kids to public events and the kids are just screaming their heads off, what do you do?
As a parent or as a bystander?
As a
I
bystander
mean,
or a parent.
here's a solution. Sometimes parents will put their kids on the leashes.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
little backpack things.
Those always seem like cruel to me.
Right, I know.
More bleepage.
Okay, when I was little, I wasn't allowed to go to certain restaurants. I'm pretty sure I wasn't allowed in public most of the time. And I think like my parents had to adapt to that, and I think that that's what a lot of parents have to do.
Yeah, like, who would want to be on a leash when you're a kid?
Nobody.
You're like an animal.
Wait, well, how young are we talking here? I mean, like you're talking like the baby
Well, no, like
harnesses that,
babies. I feel like it's fine if a baby cries and a parent has to deal with it. But to bring like, if you know you have a misbehaved 5-year-old and you're bringing them to things and just letting them
horror movie
whine
and run
and
away.
things
Yeah,
like that.
In the movies, it's
Yeah.
worse because you're in a confined space for like 2
Yeah.
hours.
Okay.
and you're
So like when parents bring their 5-year-olds to rated R movies, that grinds my
like
gears.
you didn't see this coming, really?
Yeah. Like, come on. There was a
And you're talking the whole time.
the movie Ted that came out earlier this summer about
teddy bear?
the
Yeah.
animated teddy bear. Parents were bringing their, like 10-year-olds to see it because, it's a teddy bear.
bear, the talking
No,
teddy bear.
look, it's rated R. It's got all this language
well,
and sexual
you
references.
think when you see the name Seth MacFarlane, and I respect some of his work, I do, but SNL last night was pretty stellar as well. I will plug Seth MacFarlane for that. But when he's voicing anything that's not supposed to talk, and it's talking, you
not
know
something
it's
you wanna bring your
inappropriate in
kids
some
to.
way. Like,
right.
Yeah.
look, when there's women dressed unwholesomely in the commercial, and you're watching the show like, well, there's a naked woman, but there's a teddy bear, so we gotta take our 5-year-old.
It'll balance out.
Like, you know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So like when we go to like restaurants and things, and kids start complaining or screaming or whatever, what do you do with the kid? Do you leave them be? Because that's what bugs me when I'm trying to eat
Right.
and there's a kid at the next
They
table
don't
over.
discipline them or anything.
Right, there's no discipline.
Yeah.
The kid's just sitting there and crying. They're like, oh, well, he'll eventually stop.
No.
Well,
They never do.
He'll fall asleep sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you like checked at the door, like, is this kid prone to crying? Get him out of here.
Yeah.
They need a
should have
bouncer.
A bouncer in
Yeah.
every restaurant.
What do you want?
You got like an old retired like fat cop at like the McDonald's like Playland like we got a crier. You know.
Well, I don't think it matters if it's Playland.
Yeah, no, in Playland,
No, I understand what you're
You're
saying.
supposed to cry.
yeah, Playland's for kids. Kids places, I think you can have kids of all shapes and sizes and cry
Screaming around.
levels. But
So like if I
Except
went
it's
to,
Germ
to like
City
Chuck E.
over there.
Cheese
Yeah,
and started
Playland
bawling,
carries disease.
if you went to Chuck E. Cheese and started crying, I feel like I'd be okay with that. But if you went to another restaurant, I don't know, Applebee's,
Movie
and you just started crying, then I think your
or a
parents need to take
sports
you out.
game.
It's the movies. They get me every
Yeah,
time. Those
no,
things.
but-
Yeah,
I get all
definitely
nervous too because I'm like, it's
and
not
I
a
feel like
restaurant,
at
it
least
takes longer.
remove. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
finish. We did a lot of
Or like,
talking over.
if I'm at a
Colin last
movie
time.
and I
That's
see a
okay.
little kid, like, and it's like PG-13 movie or something, I'm just like sort of dread like what's gonna happen because I'm like something's gonna happen.
It's
to
like
that
we're
kid.
not even through the previews yet, and your kid's already running
Well,
through the aisles.
okay, and the other thing is when you go to like a Pixar movie and they've got previews for like those scary movies, you're like,
Right. A house at the end of the street.
Right,
You're like, what are we watching?
right, like you're sitting there
Am I
going,
in the wrong theater?
your market that is sitting in this theater right now. I mean,
Does
this
not
is economically speaking. I mean, I hate to throw in the money thing because I have a lot of anti-money philosophy, but I mean, the target demographic of like Toy Story 3 per se is a children's demographic. Yet you throw in like
Saw 3.
Saw 3 in the previews,
They
and
usually get-
all the 5-year-olds are looking up, going, "Mommy, we have to see that."
Or they just start crying because
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's what do they think's gonna happen? Like they don't, and then they say, "Well, you can't bring a kid that young to that movie." I mean, I guess you could, but like they don't want you to.
Right.
So why is the preview
Well, I
on?
think
They're encouraging kids to see things that
They usually
shouldn't
get it
see.
right though, or like the genres that you see, they usually have
Right.
something similar.
Like most of the time when I go to see a movie that I end up enjoying, the previews look like movies I would enjoy too.
Yeah.
okay.
Or at least like somewhat like in the same theme, sort of.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and I think maybe it's a theater thing depending on where you go too. But yeah.
Well, that wraps up the show for today. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.